Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving headfirst into the last decade of China's story, a period defined by the sweeping changes enacted under Xi Jinping. We're talking economic reforms, military might, and enough technological advancement to make your phone spontaneously combust. From battling corruption to building islands in disputed waters, we'll unpack the top 10 initiatives that have reshaped China's place in the world. So buckle up, grab a Tsingtao, or whatever beverage pairs well with geopolitical intrigue, and let's get started. Imagine a world leader declaring war on corruption. In China, that's exactly what Xi Jinping did. Since taking the helm in 2012, he's been on a crusade against graft, wielding the disciplinary system like a well-oiled guillotine. We're talking over 6 million officials investigated, folks. That's more people than the entire population of Denmark. And no one, not even high-ranking party members, were safe. Remember Zhou Yongkang? He's currently enjoying early retirement in a Chinese prison. But here's the thing about corruption. It's like a particularly stubborn cockroach. Despite Xi's best efforts, corruption is still alive and kicking, evolving in new and creative ways. Think of it like this. You can take down the corrupt officials, but dismantling the systems that allowed them to flourish? That's a whole other kettle of fermented tofu. So, while Xi's campaign has certainly sent shockwaves through the party, the question remains, is it enough to truly eradicate the rot, or will corruption find a way to adapt and thrive? Let's be honest, folks. Nothing says we're a force to be reckoned with quite like a good old-fashioned military parade. And under Xi Jinping, China's been putting on quite the show. We're talking tanks that look like they're straight out of a Michael Bay film, missiles that could probably reach the moon, and enough soldiers marching in perfect unison to make a drill sergeant weep with joy. But Xi's ambitions go far beyond just looking intimidating in a military parade. He wants China to have a military that's as technologically advanced as it is large, and he's not afraid to throw some serious yuan at the problem. However, Xi's vision for the People's Liberation Army extends beyond just hardware. He's also been pushing hard for greater political indoctrination within the ranks. He wants to make sure that the military remains firmly under the control of the Communist Party, and that any potential for dissent is nipped in the bud. Whether that's a good thing or not, well, that's a whole other debate. But one thing's for sure, under Xi, China's military is a force to be reckoned with. Remember when made in China was synonymous with cheap plastic toys and knockoff handbags? Yeah, those days are long gone. Under Xi Jinping, China's gone from imitation to innovation, transforming itself into a technological powerhouse. We're talking cutting-edge advancements in artificial intelligence, facial recognition technology, and a mobile payment system so advanced that even your grandma in rural China probably uses it to buy groceries. But Xi's vision for China's tech sector goes beyond just dominating the global market. He sees technology as a key tool for achieving national rejuvenation, and he's been particularly focused on fostering what he calls indigenous innovation, which is a fancy way of saying we need to be able to make this stuff ourselves. China's learned the hard way that relying on other countries for essential technologies can leave you vulnerable. So while the West continues to debate the ethics of facial recognition and the latest iPhone release, China's been busy building a tech ecosystem that's both innovative and independent. And that, my friends, is a game changer. Imagine this, a modern-day Silk Road spanning continents, connecting economies, and of course firmly placing China at its center. This is Xi Jinping's Belt and Road Initiative, and it's about as ambitious as it gets. Launched in 2013, the BRI is essentially a massive infrastructure project on a scale the world has never seen. We're talking roads, railways, ports, pipelines, and enough construction equipment to make Bob the Builder jealous. And it's all aimed at enhancing connectivity and boosting trade between China and, well, pretty much everyone else. Now, some might say that the BRI is just a fancy way for China to buy influence and expand its global footprint. And they might have a point. But for China, the BRI is about more than just geopolitics. It's about securing its economic future. China's facing a bit of a demographic time bomb. Its population is aging, its labor force is shrinking, and it desperately needs new markets for its goods. And what better way to do that than to build infrastructure that links you directly to those markets? Remember when China's economic miracle was all about getting rich is glorious? Well, those days are so last decade. Under Xi Jinping, the name of the game is common prosperity. It's about creating a more equitable society. The party allows you to get rich, but you need to share the wealth. This push hasn't been met with universal applause. Some wealthy citizens are less than thrilled. The party's cracking down on tech and real estate. Jack Ma learned this the hard way with a $2.8 billion fine. The days of unfettered capitalism are over. From now on, it's all about sharing the wealth. Let's talk about power grabs. In 2018, Xi Jinping abolished presidential term limits. This move allows him to rule for life. Some call it power hungry, others good governance. Bold, even for a man of bold moves. China had an unwritten two-term rule to prevent another Mao. But Xi had other plans. He purged rivals and consolidated power. What does this mean for China? Hard to say. A strong leader can be good, but concentrating power is risky. Alright folks, let's talk about something near and dear to all our hearts, the environment. For years, China's been the world's factory, churning out cheap goods at breakneck speed, and, let's just say, environmental regulations weren't exactly top of mind. But under Xi Jinping, there's been a noticeable shift. He's been talking a big game about green development, tackling pollution, and transitioning to a more sustainable future. And he's even set some ambitious targets like peaking carbon emissions by 2030 and achieving carbon neutrality by 2060. Now some might say that this is just a PR stunt, a way for China to improve its image on the world stage, and they might have a point. After all, China's still heavily reliant on coal, and its cities are often blanketed in smog. But here's the thing, China can't afford to ignore the environment any longer. Climate change is real, it's happening now, and China's feeling the effects more than most. From devastating floods to crippling droughts, the consequences of environmental degradation are becoming impossible to ignore. So while China's environmental track record might be far from perfect, there's no denying that Xi Jinping is taking this seriously. Alright folks, buckle up because we're about to delve into the world of China's social credit system. Imagine a world where your every move, both online and offline, is tracked, analyzed, and assigned a score. Buy a new car? Congratulations, your score goes up. Donate to charity? Score boost. Jaywalk or forget to pay a parking ticket? Oh boy, your score's going down. Welcome to China's social credit system, a vast Orwellian experiment in social engineering that's both fascinating and deeply unsettling. The idea is simple: to encourage good behavior and discourage bad behavior by using a system of rewards and punishments. Get a good score, and you'll enjoy perks like easier access to loans, cheaper travel, and maybe even a coveted spot on the red list of model citizens. But fall afoul of the system, and you could find yourself blacklisted, denied access to services, and publicly shamed. The potential for abuse is, shall we say, considerable. Let's talk about poverty reduction. China has lifted hundreds of millions out of poverty in just a few decades. It's one of the most remarkable feats in human history. Some say it's just economic growth, but that's only part of the story. Under Xi Jinping, poverty alleviation is a top priority. Targeted programs have invested billions in infrastructure, education, and healthcare. Millions of party cadres work in villages to help families. Critics argue the poverty line is too low, but progress is undeniable. Alright folks, let's talk about something a little more lighthearted: culture. But this being China, even culture comes with a healthy dose of politics. Under Xi Jinping, there's been a concerted effort to promote what he calls cultural security. Xi's vision for Chinese culture is rooted in nationalism and traditional values. He wants to revive China's cultural heritage, promote a sense of national pride, and counter what he sees as the corrupting influence of Western culture. Now, this isn't exactly a new phenomenon in China. The Communist Party's always had a bit of a love-hate relationship with culture. But under Xi, the controls have tightened, and the message is clear. Chinese culture is great, Western culture is suspect, and anything that challenges the party's narrative is strictly verboten. So, what does this mean in practice? It means stricter censorship of movies, TV shows, and music. It means a crackdown on online content deemed unhealthy or unpatriotic. So there you have it, folks, a whirlwind tour of Xi Jinping's China. From battling corruption to building megacities, from embracing technology to tightening control, it's been a decade of dramatic change and upheaval. And as Xi Jinping prepares to embark on what could be a third or even fourth term in office, the question remains, what does the future hold for China? Will it continue its rise to global superpower status, Or will it succumb to the challenges of inequality, environmental degradation, and of course the ever-present threat of a slowing economy? One thing's for sure, China's future is inextricably linked to the decisions of one man, Xi Jinping. And as he surveys the landscape he's reshaped, one can't help but wonder what he's thinking. Only time will tell what the future holds for China. But one thing's for sure, it's going to be a fascinating, if somewhat unpredictable ride.